I was driving to my clinic, which was in Scottsdale, to my condo in Tempe, and I was like selling all my stuff because my business partners kicked me out. And I literally did realize I did not have enough gas in my car, and I was about 10 miles away from home. And I had to pull over because I knew I didn't have any money in my account. And so I had to call my mom and be like, hey, mom, I'm almost 30. Can you give me like 10 bucks so that I can get home?
Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another beautiful episode of Happiness from Within. So today we not only have we have two incredible guests, Corey and Jess, really beautiful, amazing couple that are going to be sharing their amazing journey. They're known as the healing couple. So I actually have them here in front of us. Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, it's
Hey.
so good to be here. We're excited.
Wonderful. First question for you. What does happiness from within mean to you?
Happiness from within means to me, honestly, tapping into, we're breathwork facilitators, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that in today's conversation. But happiness from within, I just immediately think of the breath. I think of connecting to our breath, to our source, to remember who we are. And honestly, for me, I did not experience happiness from within until I connected with my breathing. From very early on in my life, I was very much all about other people's expectations, people pleasing. I took care of my parents from a very young age. So I just naturally was always looking to other people and how can I help everyone else, even if it meant to the detriment of myself. And I'll never forget years ago when I was working with a spiritual healer, and she said, something along the lines of like, do you always have like compassion? Like, what does that mean to you? And I said, oh, that means I have to help. If I'm in a position to help, I have to help everyone. And she said, what if you could be compassionate and kind without having to serve everybody else and then leave nothing for yourself? And that was like a mind-blowing moment for me. I was like, wait, I could do that. I could be a kind and good person, and I can be happy and fulfilled and like not have to carry the burden of everyone else. Wow. So that definitely changed my life. And now, yes, I get to serve a lot of people with Corey. We've served tens of thousands of people all over the world. And I get to serve myself first and then give from that overflow. And I believe that's really true happiness and true fulfillment.
Wow. That's the first time I've gotten that answer. That is so beautiful. Oh, thank you. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, what does happiness from within mean? I would say, well, I mean, honestly, I love the name of your podcast because it's so true. And I think that as a physician, a naturopathic physician, that's how, I really came into what we're doing today with breath work. But like take a couple back steps, like almost a decade. When I was in medical school, I got introduced to plant medicine, and so I went down that journey with ayahuasca, psilocybin, you name it, and had so many beautiful experiences. And nothing to take away from that, but I realized still at the heart of it, at the core of it, I was still taking something, right? And ingesting it into my body in order to produce a feeling. And it wasn't until like fast forward, Jessica was, we were doing long distance. So she was in San Diego, I was in Phoenix with my medical center, and we had a mutual connection, which was her cousin that kind of connected us. And so we were dating, seeing each other. She was becoming a yoga teacher at the time, years ago. And a part of the yoga training was to do deep transformational breath work, which is what we do today. And so we would have these really late night conversations, getting on the telephone, and it was so fun. Like we'd really connect. And I'll never forget a couple of these conversations around her doing a deep transformational breathwork experience and then getting on the phone with me and being like, yeah, like I connected to my body. Then I was flying through outer space and I saw this eagle and I felt so much happiness. And I was like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And the doctor in me was like, is this chick crazy or is this something that I really should do? Right. Because my only experience had been, to really experience like a oneness, a connectedness, a real true, what I thought was happiness was by doing these deep ayahuasca or plant medicine types of experiences. So fast forward, when it came time to, she was like, I want to do this work. Like, I want to get trained in this. I was like, I do too. She's like, really? I was like, yeah, let's go. And we went, and had this wonderful training up in Northern California. And what I can say is that I had experience with breath work. I had my own meditative practice. I knew many different pranayama techniques. Like I had been a part of a lot of different experiences. But when I laid down on the floor and did a very deep transformational breath work, a very intense breath work, and for a long time, I don't know how long my first session was. I remember popping back up because you lay down, right? You want to be safe. So I remember popping back up, and I remember looking over at Jessica, and I must have just had that deer in headlight look of like, oh, I can do this with my breath.
Mhm.
I can do this with my breath. Because up to that point, the only way that I got that, like very similar to what Jessica said, was by outside sources.
Yeah.
And so when I knew I could literally like have a plant medicine journey without the plant medicine, I was hooked. I was hooked because I knew I could create happiness from within.
Wow. Such beautiful answers. Thank you so much, Corey. And thank you, Jess. Wow, that's really deep. I love it. Tell us about your company, The Healing Journey. I would love to hear. You shared a little bit of where did it start, and how has it taken you? And yeah.
Yeah. So I love this question, and it's so fun to like reflect back because we never thought we would be here.
No.
This was never part of the plan.
No, this was not part of the
And I love that's how life works, right? I mean, we can have goals and we can have dreams and things to aspire to, but when you're just open to also what, other miracles, other things that come your way, I mean, life can really shock you. And so to like travel all the way back, I'd love for you to start talking about the medical center. And that's kind of, I think, a really
So there's a mutual connection point, like I said. So like Jessica's cousin, which her name's Rachel, was my good friend. And so she kind of knew we were both single at the time and essentially set up Jessica, but then didn't let me know about it. Meaning she told Jessica everything about me, but not the other way around. So I was totally blindsided. And we ended up really connecting. And fast forward, me and Jessica, like I said, we ended up, she actually asked me out, which is crazy. So that perked my interest. And then, long story short, we were dating. At the time, I was like full blown into naturopathic medicine, had my own private practice that built up to the point where we needed to be in a bigger space. So then we did a big build out. And funny enough, her cousin, my friend Rachel, her dad did construction. So he did the construction on our big build out. And I remember like fast forward to the grand opening, and I was still pretty young. I think it was like 28, 29. It was a culmination, of decades of school, grinding, grit, opening a business, multiple businesses leading up to that point to get to this point where it was like a 1,600 square foot, nice little medical center. And I sanded the floors, like painted the walls, did so much, and we had a grand opening. I didn't expect anything. I really expect many people to show up. 200 people showed up. And then I didn't expect anything outside of that. And then camera crew showed up. The Scottsdale local TV channel showed up. Wow. And then the mayor of Scottsdale showed up. And then he brought, those big dorky gold scissors that you see sometimes in movies when people are like doing coronations or grand openings with the red ribbon. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Apparently he just whipped those out and now he's got these huge gold scissors and he's cutting this ribbon. And here I am in my white coat, all, supposed to be in all my glory. And he's cutting this ribbon. And then you know what, Janet?
What?
So this really weird thing happened. Time slowed down. Almost like it stopped. And I had this overwhelming feeling of, oh shit, I'm living someone else's life. Wow. Oh shit. This isn't for me. And so fast forward, I started to make very different decisions within my life. And it resulted in a lot of things at the time that seemed like they fell away or fell apart, but they were really falling away. And so I pretty much lost all my money, lost my business partnerships with all the doctors, and got down to the point where Jessica was helping me sell all my stuff just so that I could get by. But I knew deep down that there was a different path, a different way for me. And I started to honestly just follow the feeling, follow really inside how I wanted to feel, regardless of what was happening in my life. Literally got down to, and it took me a while to actually tell Jessica the story as well as be on podcasts, It literally got down to, I was driving to my clinic, which was in Scottsdale, to my condo in Tempe, and I was like selling all my stuff because my business partners kicked me out. And I literally did realize I did not have enough gas in my car, and I was about 10 miles away from home. And I had to pull over because I knew I didn't have any money in my account. And so I had to call my mom and be like, hey, mom, I'm almost 30. Can you give me like $10 so that I can get home? And so I know people that are listening right now, especially right now, like there's some economic hard times. Like we are definitely going through a tumultuous time. And I'm telling you, like, it's okay to experience these things because it's one chapter of your life. And fast forward now, many years later, me and Jessica are running a multiple six-figure business, breathwork business. This is what I do full time, nothing else. There's no side hustle. It's full-time breathwork. And we've certified 47 facilitators in the last 2 years from all over the world, 4 out of the 6 countries or continents. And I can tell you that as long as you just keep going and following the feeling, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off. So that's what I would say.
Wow. Wow, that flows so beautifully to something actually I wanted to share with you guys, just about how, when we go through really hard times, or like maybe an opportunity that we think was for us, right?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, can I just share something that happened the other day? It was just
Sure.
there's this
Yeah.
opportunity to make some additional income, like literally between like probably 5 to 10K, like something really great, right? And I tell you, I was like stressing about this for like months. I was like, yes. I think it was just kind of a red flag from the universe, like, no, you're not meant to do that, right? And then yesterday they offered it to me, and I just said no. In that moment, I kid you not, just like you were talking about the ribbon, right? It was like this wall, like literally, like I think of like this red brick wall. It just crumbled down, and like my heart, I might get a little emotional here, but like no, it just like I was like, it just, my whole heart chakra, like it just all opened up, and I knew in that moment, I was like, okay, spirit, I get it. I was like, it was not meant to go in that direction. And so just really trusting that intuition, and this journey that we go on. And it's so true. Sometimes what we think is going to bring us happiness from within, right? Might not necessarily be that, and it's okay, right? So anyway, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. It's the real conversations. It's about making those choices in that moment for the greater good of your happiness. Yeah, because I don't think happiness is like a quick hit. It's not like me with the white coat and the ribbon and the cameras and the glitz and the glam. It's about like me choosing how I want to feel on the inside. And you probably knew that if you made that decision for that quick hit of $10,000 cash, you were going to sacrifice something as a result of that.
I just want to, there's this, I don't know if you've ever heard of Robin Sharma. He wrote this book called The Leader Who Has No Title. I just want to share this little quote. It's kind of just blends with what we were talking about, if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
But he's a humanitarian that just, he's helped a lot of just really incredible people. And he talks about how, here it is. So for all of you listening, don't worry. Getting lost along your path is part of finding the path you're meant to be on. Sometimes we need to get off track before we can develop the clarity to be on track. I just wanted to share that. It's just so powerful. This is from Robin Sharma, The Leader Who Had No Title. So it's good, right?
I love that. I love that. And that actually came up recently in a breathwork class that we were leading, an in-person class here in San Diego. And you had said something, I don't even know if you remember this, but we were like in the middle of it, and you could tell people were releasing a lot. Some people you could tell were kind of struggling. They were coming up against maybe their, just some really uncomfortable edges, coming up against some fear or doubt, but there was resistance in the room, and you could tell. But people were on the edge of a breakthrough. And you said, you might be feeling lost right now. And like, okay, like where are we going with this? And like, who am I? And questioning a lot of things. But every time that you get lost, you get found. And if you can remember that in those moments, which can be sometimes kind of hard when you're in it.
Yeah.
But if you can remember, like, this is not forever. Like, what if this was just temporary and I'm finding my way? And it actually reminds me of a time a few years ago where, before becoming a breathwork facilitator and before becoming a yoga teacher, I am kind of what your story, you just really reminded me of this, where I was working for a digital media startup based in New York, and I was living in San Diego, working remotely for this startup, and it was really exciting. And I was good at what I did, and I got to work with a lot of thought leaders and New York Times bestselling authors and speakers, and working on their social media accounts and all of this stuff. And it was great. I would say it was good, but it wasn't great.
Mm.
But I kept doing it.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's something else for me. I know that I'm meant to guide others to their healing. I know I'm meant to share the work that has helped me heal on my journey with others so that they can heal too. But I kept getting caught up in the hows. Well, how would I do that? And what would that look like? And how would I make money? And there was all of these questions. So I allowed that to just keep me the same. Okay, well, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing because that just seems impossible or too hard, or who am I? But then I got a phone call one day. And actually, before I got the phone call, I got a text message from my boss.
I remember this.
And he said, hey, can you talk later today? And it was a Friday. And I was like, they're on Eastern time. Like, he's already done like for the day usually. And like, he's never texted me. And usually if you want to have a conversation with him, you're going to have to book a couple days out at least. So I was like, that's interesting. So I said, sure, I can talk in an hour, and we get on the phone. And so he was sharing, I could tell something was up. Like, he was being, really kind, and like, as he always was, but there was something he needed to tell me, and was just preparing me for that. And he was like, I'm just so sorry that we have to do this, but there was a lot of changes that we're making because there was a startup, and they were totally changing their business model. So a lot of the roles were just going to fall away. And one of those happened to be mine. And so he eventually told me that they're going to have to let me go in a month. But hey, we can get you another job. Like, I'm here to support you. I've totally got your back, and I really appreciate that. And I was like, you don't have to be sorry. Like, it's okay. And he was so shocked at how I took it, because he probably thought I was going to be crying and like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And he was more worried about it than I was. I was like, yeah, it's okay. And like, well, I appreciate you offering to help, and I'll take it if I need it. But, thank you so much for letting me know, and we'll stay in the conversation. But after I got off the phone, I felt such a relief. I felt so much peace. And we were a couple months into our relationships. I remember, again, we were long distance. So I called Corey and I told him, and I was like, I'm happy. I'm good. And I had friends that were like, oh my God, well, what are you going to do? What's next? What's next? I'm like, I don't know what's next, but that's okay. So getting back to like, I was lost in that moment. I didn't know what was ahead. I had no idea. For the first time in my life, I really had no idea. But I was so content with that. And I created my way. I found my way. I made the path ahead to what we see today with the healing couple. And it took it like literally step by step, breath by breath. But I thank my boss, because that was the last 9 to 5 that I had. After that, it was just, full-time entrepreneur. And I thank him every day, because he took like the safety net away. So that I could finally just take the leap and do what I was meant to do, and do what really made me happy.
I think that's a conversation that most people don't talk about when it comes to happiness, which is what extra safeguards, what like safety nets have you put in place that are completely unnecessary, that are robbing you of your happiness?
Whew.
Because happiness is really a true exploration of what's within. And if you don't have that element of what we're talking about, the unknown, right? The being lost, there's no ability for you to step up to that moment, step up to that challenge, and be the hero or heroine of your story and write a different one. Because otherwise, you're just going to be stuck in the safety net. And I see a lot of people living that life.
Yes. And Tony Robbins talks about this as far as what are the secret ingredients to fulfillment, to happiness. You need certainty. Of course, you need to feel safe. You need to have some level of stability in your life. You need to feel rooted. Think about like the root chakra. You need to like have that foundation. Otherwise, nothing else is working, right? Got to be a level of certainty.
Yeah.
But there's also got to be, if you really want to be happy, also a level of uncertainty. And I think that's where people miss the mark, because everything is so certain in their life. Everything has to be figured out. All the ducks have to be in a row so that I can feel good. But actually, if you have too much certainty, there's not room for joy. There's got to be some level of uncertainty, feeling some sense of being lost, some sense of unknown, trying something new, going for something a goal that like is scary and that it's something you've never done before. You've got to have that too. Because when we are in the pursuit of that and making progress towards that, we can be really happy. So we've got to have both. And that's like coming back to like the story that I just shared. It was like, I had just enough uncertainty because my boss took that safety net out that I actually could really feel happy, because everything up to that point was too certain, too figured out.
Whew, wow, this is I'm loving this podcast. So this is
I feel like we're just getting started, Janet.
this is really great. I just love your guys' energy. I literally I'm just feel so attracted to your guys' energy. It's just like so incredible. I really would love for you to share with the audience. I would love to hear more about breath work. I think it's kind of mystical that we're having the podcast episode today because I've been struggling a lot with my health, but I'm doing much better now. And I used to do like hot yoga. I still do a little bit of yoga here at home, right from home. But breath work I used to do a lot of before and not as much. So I feel like today it was kind of like a reminder. And I'm going to ask you some questions too, since that's what you guys are doing. I just think it's so amazing. You guys are doing this like literally full time for a living, and you guys are making multiple six figures. Like that is wild. I want to hear more about this. Like, but yeah, what I want to ask you about the breath work. So when you you shared a little bit about how it started. So what made you guys want to did you start with yoga, or did you say I want to do breath work? Like where was spirit leading you? Like, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, I think, me and Jessica both got trained, and I had that moment where I popped up and was like, oh my God, like I can have a plant medicine experience without being on plant medicine. Holy shit.
Oh, that's
And
right.
I would say a few months later, me and Jessica we had so much experience, like we had, I had my medicine background. Jessica was a yoga teacher. She also worked at Stanford, at C-Care, and we just had so much. And a lot of our conversations at night around the dinner table involve like health, wellness, like what we're talking about right now. And we're like, gosh, like we really feel like it's a detriment if we don't share some of these things with our community. And so at the time we were living in this little bungalow, like a little, like they call it like a beach home. They call it a bungalow. Very, very, very tiny 400 square foot like house above a garage. And we had our little ocean view, right?
That's so
And
cute.
we just looked at each other and said, you know what? Let's come together. Let's create something. Let's do a workshop. Because both of us had independently done that in previous careers and whatnot, but we never done it together. And so we did the whole flyer thing, posted up flyers around the community. We, came up with I think we literally came up with our curriculum like an hour before the workshop. It's a little nerve-wracking.
Love it.
And I remember we went to the venue, and I remember looking at you, and it was an, empty venue. So we got there early, and I just remember this fear coming up of like, is anyone going to show up? Because I know we sold tickets, but like, God, is anybody going to show up? And I remember we went in the back and we grounded, we did some breath work, and then we came back, and there's 22 beautiful human beings in a circle waiting for us. We sat down. I can't tell you, I don't remember much from the actual experience itself, but at the end, we did a transformational breathwork journey, and people came up to us and they were like, oh my God, this changed my life. When are you doing this again?
Like, I need to tell my sister, I need to tell my best friend, I need to bring everyone.
We bring everybody. And me and Jessica at the time, no business acumen. We're like, sure, here's a piece of paper, put your name and your email, and like we'll get back to you. So we had no plan. And so fast forward, we literally did about a workshop every single month that year. So we did about 12 workshops. And even at that point, we weren't calling ourselves the healing couple. We had many different reiterations. I don't know if I even want to share some of the names that we had, but it started with those monthly workshops for that year. And then it just grew from there.
Wow, that's incredible.
Mhm.
So how long have you guys been doing this?
Gosh.
Yeah, so we have been teaching and facilitating for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
for more than a decade, we've been doing our own personal practice and like, dipping our big toe in the, in the deep end of the pool. And I had a number of different opportunities to facilitate with some master teachers. So I got like glimpses of what it would be like to teach. And so I knew that like that was in me, but then really 5 years ago is when it was like, this is what we are going to do together and do this full time and share this on a massive level. And we started with sharing in San Diego, and then we've now have grown to lead people from all over the world and move breathwork online to really reach people from, I mean, all continents, really.
Yeah.
And so we are on a mission to help millions of people through the power of breath to wake up to how powerful they are. And there's so many different breathwork techniques out there, and we can definitely get into like a little bit more about what breathwork is if you want to go there. But I would say that underneath the umbrella of breathwork, no matter what technique it is, I believe that the breath helps us remember who the fuck we are. And sorry if you can't swear.
No, that's fine. It's yes.
But to really remember who the fuck we are, rather than going through the motions, rather than just like how we talked about earlier, just living out other people's expectations. Corey saying like, I feel like I was living somebody else's life. Like when you tap back into your breath, your own energy, your emotions, and tap inside, that's where you're going to find true joy.
Wow, that's incredible. It's interesting you guys are mentioning about breath work because I heard a story the other day. My holistic health coach, his fiance does breath work, and she had a meltdown, right? And she used her own breath work to, she was really down and she was doing her breath work for like 45 minutes. He comes back later and she's like smiling and he's like, wow, like, and she was talking about how like it helped her and she used her own breathwork practice. And I'm just like, I've had experiences like that too, and so, but yeah, you're right. It's like we remember who we are, Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, so for our audience that's watching or listening right now, would you mind sharing for somebody that's a beginner? I mean, I don't know if you want to do a little mini breath work right here, if you feel comfortable with that. If not, that's fine. But just, just any value you'd like to provide in regards to that.
Absolutely. No, I'd be so happy to do a short guided practice, and especially something that anyone can do, no matter where you are and no matter where you're at in your journey. So where it really starts is with awareness. And so I'll guide a little bit of breath awareness or mindful breath, and then I'll guide just a little short exercise after that. But why I want to start with awareness, and that's a good place for anyone to start, is because breathing goes on without any help from you. It's automatic. When's the last time you thought about your breath? Probably, I mean, this conversation.
Probably right now.
Yeah, probably in this conversation, you've thought a lot. Maybe I pay attention, but for the most part, probably not very often.
No.
And we breathe 25,000 breaths a day, the average person, but most of those we don't even pay attention to. So if we can tap in and just become aware of some of those 25,000 breaths, then we can start to pay attention to our emotions, our thoughts, because it's been shown that our breath is directly connected to our mental, emotional, and physiological state.
So talk about happiness from within, because most of us live by the laws of give and effect, right? Meaning like something in my external environment changes. I win the lottery, right? Now I get that feeling of happiness, that dopamine hit, that acetylcholine rush. But if you really want to determine your destiny, the opposite is true. You can breathe in specific patterns, in specific ways that produce specific emotions. And so you can become not only just like happy, but you can control when and where and how it happens.
Because for most of us, we allow our emotions to then affect how we're breathing.
Yes.
right? We let the outside world dictate how we breathe. And then we're like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm breathing really shallow. I'm breathing in my chest. And if we breathe in our chest long enough for days and weeks and months and years, then we create chronic anxiety and stress. And that leads to a whole host of other health conditions, right?
Oh,
That's the dramatic effect that it can have. And so rather than allowing our emotions and the external world to run us,
Yes.
if we take control of our breath, it works like a two-way street. We can then control how we feel. We can control and decide our emotions and our thoughts and our entire reality.
oh.
That's the power of it. I'm literally like sweating right now, just like thinking about this. It's like it's that potent.
Mm.
So let's start with breath awareness, shall we?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So wherever you are, if you can close the eyes, if you're driving right now, please keep your eyes open.
Please.
But you can do this with the eyes closed or eyes open. If you have the ability to close down the eyes, this will help to just deepen the experience a little bit. Sit up nice and tall wherever you are. And just start by paying attention and observing how you're breathing right now in this moment. Just that simple. Are you breathing fast or slow? Deep or shallow? Just notice the rate and the rhythm of your breath, just as it is, without trying to change anything. Just as an observer, watch the breath as it moves in through the nostrils on your inhale, filling your lungs. Notice the muscles that you use to breathe in. And notice each breath out, each exhale as the breath leaves the body. Notice the sensations on each inhale and each exhale. And you may also notice the mind may wander or try to distract you or pull you out of your experience. That's totally okay. That's normal. Just gently guide your attention back to your breath. Pay attention to the next inhale. Just watching the breath as it comes and goes, effortlessly and naturally. And if this may feel a little bit challenging to just sit and pay attention to the breath, I invite you to just use these phrases as you breathe. So as you inhale, you can just silently say to yourself, this is my inhale. And on each exhale, silently to yourself, this is my exhale. As you breathe in, this is my inhale. As you breathe out, this is my exhale. To help stay focused and aware of your breath. Just letting the mind do what it does. Continue to notice your breathing. And notice, maybe is there a temperature to your breath or a texture to it? Is it warm or cool? Is it smooth or choppy? And just notice, simply by becoming aware of the breath, it naturally begins to deepen and slow down. And now on your next breath in, ready to breathe in for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold the breath at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom. 2, 3, 4. We're going to continue like this for a few more rounds. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe fully out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And continue just like this. Imagine breathing in a square. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and hold for 4. If you lose count or you lose your place, it's all good. Just start back from the beginning. Wherever you are, take 3 more full rounds. Drawing a square with your breath. If you want an extra challenge, you can extend the count. Maybe bump it up to 5 or 6, maybe even 7 or 8. Really breathing fully in on the inhales and fully emptying out on the exhales. You can imagine on the inhales, breathing in whatever it is that you desire to feel more of. Maybe it's more joy and happiness, more gratitude, peace. And on the exhales, letting go of anything that you may be holding on to that's not serving you. You're letting go of fear or doubt, stress. Let it go on the exhale. And whenever you finish that third full cycle, let's return back to a normal breathing pattern. Just notice how you feel now. Notice any shifts from when we first started. Maybe feeling a little more calm, more grounded, at peace. Whether it's big shifts or small ones. Just with a few minutes of breath, paying attention, noticing it and changing it. That you have the power to shift your state. Just in a few moments and a few breaths. We'll just close out, taking just a big deep breath in, biggest breath you've taken all day. Fill all the way up and then let out a sigh. And when you're ready, open the eyes. How are
What?
you feeling?
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say, how are you feeling?
Wow. Like, I feel like my eyes are more open and I feel more grounded. That was incredible. Wow. I know that was just a little mini session, but wow, that was amazing.
I'm so glad. And that's just again, a very simple practice. Like we don't have to overcomplicate. It doesn't have to be hard. We talk about, we talk about like morning routines and self-development world and like having your rituals and we make it like 3 hours and you got to like do all this intense stuff. So then you can like be in a good state. And it's like, what if it could just be a few minutes or just paying attention to your breath as you're washing the dishes or as you're driving? It really can be that simple.
That's beautiful. I love it. I just wanted to add something. You guys, the healing couple, right? Like one thing that and made this also serve anybody that's watching or listening is I feel that one thing that's really helped me with my healing journey is that breathing in I am love. I am love. And then releasing what no longer serves me, right? And then when I can throughout the day, right, nothing, I love how you said that. It's so true, right? Because we're like, oh, I gotta be aggressive, right? Gotta do this now. Like, I'm a robot. I'm like, no, I'm a human, right? But just, saying, thank you for my healing, right? Just being grateful. But just wanted to share that.
Yeah. I think it's so important because there's 2 different ways of communicating to the body. And what you're talking about is like a really lovely positive affirmation or a mantra or incantation, right? That's food for the mind. And then creating that feeling with the breath on your inhales and then your exhales, releasing all that does not serve you. That is at the core of it, the two elements that need to be combined during any type of inward practice. Because I see the people that like put the sticky notes on their mirror, all those affirmations, and like, that's great, but you're only involving the mind. And then I see people that are very maybe deep into their breath practices, cultivating these feelings, but then there's no directionality on the intention. And so it's combining that intention with that elevated emotion that really is the magic sauce for changing your life. So that's amazing. You're doing it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was just such a beautiful, thank you, Jess. That was just really, really beautiful. Yeah. And thank you for what you shared, Corey. That was really great. Would love for you to share, a little bit more about, so like how, share a little bit more about, your business. So do you guys teach groups? Like, do you do in person, online? Like, can you talk a little bit more about, maybe somebody listening is, interested in working with you?
Absolutely. Yes, we do in person and online. Like I said earlier, we had just started with our San Diego community, and then we really wanted to spread this message really far and wide. So no matter where you are in the world, we have monthly online breathwork classes. So you can join us every single month for breathwork. Now, what I led you through was a breath awareness practice along with box breathing. So that's a practice that you can take really anywhere with you. That's just scratching the surface. That is like the tip of the iceberg. What we do, we are founders of the Reset Breathwork method. So Reset Breathwork takes breathwork to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like meditation on steroids. So if you're ready to really dive deep, you're really ready to face the things that have been holding you back. Like this is, I'm going to be honest, it's not for the faint of heart.
Nope.
Like if you're actually ready to change, a lot of people say like, I'm ready to change my life. Like I want to grow my business. Like I'm ready, let's do it. I want to hit the next level. But are you? And if you are, if you're up for the challenge, that's where Reset Breathwork comes in. So we guide these journeys while you're laying down, and we guide you through the entire process. It's about 30 minutes. And we're there to be your guides and also to push you, to challenge you a little bit, to actually stretch your physiology. And if you're open to it, to speak a little bit to that, to really stretch the nervous system so that eventually you can find homeostasis, you can find balance in your body and create really deep healing that goes beyond just like a quick fix or a quick hit, something that just feels like good, to actually long-lasting transformation.
Because I think where me and Jessica are pushing the paradigm of breath work is there is like, I would say the older sect, which talks about pranayama, nasal breathing techniques, really focusing on relaxing, getting into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is very important and very foundational. But what I have discovered as a naturopathic physician is looking at the nervous system and looking at how we historically interacted with our environment, is that we had very big stresses, running away from the bear, dealing with fight or flight, life or death situations. And so our nervous system is really weighted towards the sympathetic. But unfortunately, because we don't have to run away from the bear and there aren't life or death situations every single day, we have what are called micro stress, right? It's, oh shit, I didn't set my alarm clock, I'm late to work. Now I'm stuck in traffic, some guy just flipped me off. I'm at work and someone's not consciously connected to themselves, and so they're mirroring and reflecting all their shit back on me. Now I have to hold all that on. Now I'm going home, oh, my husband's lit, you know what I mean? It's like all these little things add up, and how the nervous system perceives that is not technically as a fight or flight response, and it becomes your new normal. And so in order to break out of that, I truly feel as a naturopathic physician, we need to start trusting and relying on our autonomic nervous system, especially the sympathetic branch. And instead of like putting somebody in front of a bear and having them run away, like putting them in a safe, intentional setting, but challenging your nervous system, stretching you, pushing you, so that you are getting to those intense states, so that what happens is you have a snapback effect.
Yeah.
Because if you push somebody really sympathetic intentionally, your autonomic nervous system is going to kick in and it's going to take you way parasympathetic.
Mm.
So if you've ever breathed with us, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's challenging. Yeah, you face your shit and you come up right against it. But if you get 100%, you'll get 100% back. Meaning, at the end of it, you'll be in such a deep parasympathetic state, you'll feel more calm, more at peace, more just spacious, more open, more connected than you have in your entire life. And I can tell you, because we've done this for tens of thousands of human beings, it's almost like an experiment of us. We've probably watched more people breathe intensely than anyone else on the planet. I mean, there's probably a few other breathwork facilitators.
I believe it. I believe it.
We're in the upper echelon.
Yeah.
And so seeing that happen time and time again, and people have breathed with us for years, I truly believe that if you take somebody to that sympathetic peak and back down enough times, people's nervous systems will start firing and wiring in a new way. Because the most common thing people say to us after, at some point, going to our sessions and coming up to us or talking to us online, Dr. Corey, Jessica, I feel like an entirely new human being. And I love those moments. I love those moments because I get to say, it's because you are. And we are getting outside of the paradigm of mindset work and working on the mind. What we're doing is we're working on the mind and the body, getting them to be in unison through experience, peak emotional experiences. And when you do that enough, you create a new set point for your nervous system that is greater than your past. And when that happens, this is what it looks like. You come in, you're an anxious person. Eventually, at some point, you're literally not an anxious person anymore. You don't have to think about being anxious.
Wow.
Being not anxious, better yet. You're a depressed person. You've had a lot of trauma and experience from your past. You come in enough times, you don't have to think about being depressed anymore because you're not. You're just an entirely new human being. And so that's what me and Jessica are up to with the Reset Breathwork method.
And I really wanted to share that. Like, I know you asked about like the business, and I want to get to that too, as far as how can people do this work, but I really wanted to be upfront with like the power of this.
Yeah.
It is more than what I just guided you through. Cause I don't want somebody coming in, online to our monthly class or coming to, to a breathwork class in San Diego and thinking like, oh yeah, this is going to be a nice, slow meditative experience. They're like, whoa, I didn't expect that. It's really like a full workout. It's a workout for your mind and for your energy and for your soul.
Yeah.
So you think of like a soulful workout, if you already put in the work, that's what you're going to get to experience. So again, we have monthly online breathwork classes. You can join from wherever you are. We have also Sunday classes. We call it like breath church.
I love it.
Breath church. Some people come, a lot of people come every single Sunday. It's part of their ritual. It's a way to reset, get ready for the week. So you can go into your week super clear, refreshed, like this is who I am. I'm ready to take it on, rather than, oh fuck, another week ahead. Right. Like that's what we're about, with life and with business. Like that's not an existence.
No.
I mean, you're just existing. You're not really living. So it's like, what if you could just really look forward and be excited and bring energy to what you're creating in your life and your business? We also have retreats every so often. So again, no matter where you're at in the world, we all meet up at different destinations and dive really deep with breathwork retreats. We also have, Corey alluded to this earlier, where we have a breathwork teacher training and certification program. So a lot of times, and this was our own experience, we experienced the power of breathwork, and it helped us heal and transform so much that there usually comes a point where you're like, you go from the student to the teacher. You're like, I want to teach and share this with others. I want to share it with my family and my clients, my community. Like this is how we can spread healing across the world. We believe that we can heal the world just one breath at a time. And so for those I want to step into that facilitator role, we have a certification program that we only do twice a year, but it's an 8-week, really immersive program where you learn the science, you learn the spirituality and the energetics, you learn the business of breath work, and you also experience the embodiment, leadership, not just, I'm going to take a bunch of notes and I know a bunch of things. Now I'm certified. Yay. And I can put it in my Instagram bio. I'm a breathwork facilitator, but that you are actually embodying the work and you go deep within yourself so that you can deeply lead others. So that is just some of what we have. And we also do have a pre-recorded, we have a breath bundle. So it's all pre-recorded guided audio so that you can on demand be able to access different practices, like the ones that I actually guided earlier, and then also some reset breathwork journeys as well. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want whenever you need it to.
That's really cool. Wow. That's incredible. I just love what you guys are doing. I love what you said, Jess, about changing lives one breath at a time. I love that. I just have never heard that. That's just, it's very different and very unique. It makes you guys just have this something special that you guys are doing. I just think it's amazing. This has just been a really great podcast episode so far.
Oh, we've enjoyed it too.
Just so blown away. How do you want to be remembered before you take your last breath?
Well, I'd say that this is something that me and Jessica have talked a lot about. And it brings up a lot of emotion for me because I think a lot of people don't approach their life that way. And for me and Jessica, we have a saying around this, which is I want to be able to look at the end of our life, the rocking chair moment, right? We're sitting back in our rocking chairs and we know our days are numbered and our bodies are worn, but we can look back and say, we did it all. And that's the life that I want to live. I want to be, I want to have pushed all the buttons and pulled all the levers, really use this body in the best way possible. And what I have found being in a relationship with Jessica and the power that we have together is we can do so much more together. And so that's what we want to have said. We did it all.
Woo, wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Corey, for sharing that. So deep. Thank you so much. What about you, Jess?
I honestly don't want to add too much more to that, but I just want to emphasize the we.
Yeah.
Not just I did it all, but that we did it all. And this goes for all of us, that whether you're in a relationship or not, and when we say we, it's like us too, but also that like we with our community, with like the world, that like we did it all. I think about our breathwork facilitators that are, trained under us. Like we're creating a revolution, we're creating a community that we can not just do it for just me, just you, but we're doing it for us, for all of us. And so if we can leave and take our last breath and people can know that we did it for humanity, we did it for them, I would say I've won. I've won at life.
Wow. Oh my God. I can't help but not get emotional. It's just so beautiful. Wow. This has just been, I'm so blown away by this episode. This is just incredible, incredible, incredible. I don't have any other questions. If there's anything else you'd like to share that comes through you, or we can end now.
No, I would just like to leave with whoever's listening to this, whatever you're doing right now, I want you to just pause for a moment and take a breath. Just take a breath with us. Just sync up with this moment. And if you felt something from this episode, from any single one of us, if there's like either a bit of wisdom or a feeling, I just ask, out of the bottom of my heart, that you take that and you share that with somebody else. You share that feeling, that expression, that knowing, and you help become the ripple, because that's how we change the world.
Oh, that was good. That was so good.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Would you like to add anything else, Jess?
Again, piggybacking off of that, really just sharing the piece, sharing the energy that you're feeling, sharing it with somebody else. And also, if you feel called to to share it online, if there was like an aha moment, to share it on Instagram or share it on Facebook and tag us, we'd love to see. Please do reach out. If there's something that really inspired you, we would love to hear. We love connecting with other human beings. So please don't hesitate to send us a DM, to reach out to us. Let us know how this impacted you. We'd love to hear from you. And it means the world to know those things, those breakthroughs.
It's beautiful. Well, I really want to thank both of you for being beautiful, amazing guests here on Happiness from Within. It has been an honor. Definitely look forward to continuing to connect with both of you. Thank you so much for what you're doing to uplift the vibration of this planet. So very much needed right now in these times that we're going through. And especially since, you know, this pandemic, like what we all need to be doing right now is breathing, because we have had our face, covered with things, and so what a beautiful way to help humanity by starting with one breath at a time. So thank you so much. Share where people can find you. The link will be below, but if you can share for anybody that's listening.
Yeah, our website is thehealingcouple.com, and you can find our events at thehealingcouple.com/events. That's where you'll find the monthly online breathwork if you decide to join us for that. And also Instagram at thehealingcouple_. Reach out to us there.
Okay, beautiful. Well, thank you guys all for listening. Wishing you a wonderful, fabulous day, and we'll catch you on the next episode.